I'm going to present this to you, and then I want your feedback. I'm not going to show any expression, so you don't get any idea how I feel about it. For now, I'll show you later. But first, did you hear about the 4 blacks who attacked the young white teenager? He was mentally disabled. Did you guys hear about that?
Yes.
Who did not hear about it? Really? Well, what happened was, for those who don't know, in Chicago, 2 black girls and 2 black men, young men, picked up this mentally disabled white guy and took him to an apartment building. Matter of fact, they went to his house and picked him up because he knew according to the story, he knew one of the people. And so they took him to an apartment, and they tied him down, put tape on his mouth, and beat him and cut his hair. They scalped him, and they were saying, F Donald Trump, F white people, and they really tortured this guy. Really bad. It was really heartbreaking to see it. The neighbor downstairs heard all this noise happening, and so he or she, I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman, called the police. And when the girl found out that they had called the police, she went downstairs and kicked the door in and robbed or beat up the neighbor or something. But the cops came, or she kicked the door in. I don't know if she robbed. And so while this was happening, the guy managed to get out of the apartment, and the cops saw him walking down the road just in shorts. And so they were able to arrest all 4 of the people. And it's bad. And when you see the black folks who did it, you can see that they're just filled with anger. They have no love in their heart. Their souls are dead. And the hatred in their hearts is overwhelming. It's an awful story. The interesting thing about it, the black police commissioner of Chicago held a press conference, and in the beginning, he did not want to call it a hate crime. He was calling everything but a hate crime. But due to the outcry that came from the public, he had to call it a hate crime because it really was a hateful crime. It was hateful. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You know, I've been saying for 26 years that if we don't deal with this anger in the hearts of black Americans, and the way that they're out there attacking white folks and getting away with it and so on, things can only get worse. And it will get worse. I hope that I'm wrong, but it's going to get worse. Did you see it, Mark?
Yes.
What was your opinion about it? What did you think about it?
I think the big story is the huge downplay by the media. No. They're just kids. They're the victims. They're the victims, the ones that tortured and kidnapped and scalped this guy.
Right.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
That is what's going to hurt people. That's what's going to yield more bodies in more situations like this.
That's right. And all crime is there such thing as love crime? I wonder why they named it hate crime. All crime is hateful. It's due to hate.
Yeah, I mean, how many... There's obviously certain designated victim groups that can do certain crimes, and they will never be charged with a hate crime. CNN will say all day long why it's impossible for them not to do a hate crime.
Right.
And as soon as a person of this skin color does something, it's automatically a hate crime.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to prosecute people based on what we think is in their head.
Yeah. You saw the video?
Yes, I saw the video. I absolutely
what
thought
was
it
your
was...
impression of it?
It was despicable.
Yeah.
It was just... It's horrible. This is not just a hate crime. This is the sickness called Chicago. This has been happening for all of Obama's term. I mean, Chicago is murder capital of the United States right now.
Yeah.
And no one's doing anything about it or anything that way. I think this is also lending to having stuff like this happen. And I know one of the other young ladies that the 24-year-old also had a rap sheet.
I think both of them did.
Right.
Yeah.
I found this... It's not new to have to film people beating up mentally disabled. I'm not saying it's correct, but this is
Right.
not a new instance.
Yeah.
However, I think the severity of this, and I think if they weren't caught or what have, this would have continued and this person would have died
Yeah.
if they had not been caught.
The thing that I find interesting about it is that these people are so crazy. They videotape this stuff and they put it on the internet. They have lost all common sense. It's mind-blowing. Someone sent me a video this morning, and at first I didn't think it was real. I thought it was a setup. And so I had James to look at it, and he said, yes, it is real. This video is mind-blowing to me. It's amazing how our battle is a battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. This video that I just saw this morning is a black young male driving a car, and he has an elderly white woman sitting in the passenger seat next to him. The girlfriend is in the back. And the elderly woman, according to this guy, has Alzheimer's disease. He made her put his hand on his private part. And he's videotaping that saying, look at her, she loved this. She loved it. She has Alzheimer's disease, but she's loving this. Isn't that something? And he said, this is my girlfriend. My girlfriend is a nurse, and apparently she's sitting in the back. You do see someone in the back. My girlfriend is a nurse, and this is her patient. And we're taking her back home. And when we get to her house, I'm going to do some more things with her. He says what he's going to do. I just don't want to mention it. And he got this on video and put it on the internet. And someone sent it to me, and I noticed they sent it to the police, the FBI, and everybody else. But it's like, what's happening, you know? And here's this girlfriend, it's the nurse. Somebody has hired this woman to take care of this elderly lady, and this is what they're doing to her.
That really wrenches at my heart
Yeah.
because I came to California to take care of my uncle who had Parkinson's. And what people don't know about Parkinson's is if you have it for a long period of time, your brain goes too. And he was at that point. We had people in the house with him. He had stuff stolen. We had phone calls to the 976 numbers. For those who don't know, those were the sexy phone call numbers. So these fools were coming in, making these phone calls, and then we find out we have a $500-700 bill on the phone.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, something like that, that woman doesn't know what she's doing by any means. And this is happening. It wrenches at my heart to hear that.
Yeah. And this guy and the girl are so crazy, they even showed the woman. They show her face and everything. Yeah. What's the theme for this year?
Don't let the right hand know what the left, or excuse me, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing.
Have you been doing that?
I've been trying, yeah.
Is it working?
It seems to be.
In what way?
Just keeping my mind off of negative things and trying to focus on the moment.
It's so amazing not to let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Did you do it, G?
I practice it, but it was it seemed like it feels so good to tell, the left hand want to know about your life. You know what I'm saying? The left hand tell me. I'm like, all right, I'll tell you just this one time. But I
You're
practice
absolutely
it.
right. It's so amazing that the left hand want to know about your life. It want to be all involved in every aspect of your life. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean.
So did you tell it anything at any point?
Well, a couple times I only did it when I was unaware, and then I catch myself.
Yes.
But when I was aware, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
But it wasn't like I was just all of a sudden not telling it. But I practice it every day.
Oh, good, man. Did you do it, Mark?
It helped me a lot with making choices. In the middle of making choices, instead of making decisions, usually I'd be like, oh, is this right? Does he have a point? And I question myself, and now I don't.
Yeah.
And the result is much better.
That's right. I did it for the entire week. And I made sure that I'm going to do this. And it was so amazing what happened in my life during the day and things that, it was it was unbelievable. It really was. I want you to know that God is with you. He's inside of us. And he's just waiting for us to let go so he could give us a life. And everything that he does is perfect. But you got to completely let go. And you let go by not letting the left hand know what the right hand is doing. It is mind-blowing. And then the left hand is always trying to tell you, you need to do something. You need to come up with something. You need to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And it's amazing. By the time this year is up, if we continue this, we're going to be walking on water. Yes, James?
Some people aren't following what you're talking about.
About the left hand?
Yeah.
They should have been here. I'll tell you in a minute. I will tell you. I just want to make sure that the people remember. Did you do it, Marilyn?
I don't know. It's kind of hard.
In what way?
It was just, I don't know. It was really hard for me.
It was hard for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking about what I need to do, and then it was a little confusing. Maybe I don't quite understand.
Right. Okay. You just said something that's very interesting, but let me ask, did you do it, Mary? You were here last Sunday, right?
Yes.
Oh, let's see what Mary did.
I did.
And how was it?
Well, it just made things a little bit more vivid, instead of the thoughts going through without noticing them. You kind of like, oh, well, it makes like a big change because you have to notice it.
Right.
You notice it. You don't just blurb through everything.
This is an excellent theme, huh?
So, yeah, I thought it was fascinating. Even getting up in the morning, you kind of think, what do I need to do, this, that, and the other, and then you end up doing nothing, those kind of things, and you have to notice, well, I got to get going.
Oh, and it helps knowing that it's the left hand that should stay out of your business, huh?
Yeah, right. This hand's like, oh, no.
The left hand love being in your business, I'm telling you. It's amazing.
But it is. But it did. It created some color. As in before pictures are kind of like black and white, but now they're like vivid things.
Yes. Did you do it?
Well, I tried, but it didn't hold up through the week.
And why not?
I don't know. Maybe I'm conditioned to failure. But it did not hold up. The left hand won big.
Wow. At least you knew it. Before this theme, you didn't know the left hand was winning.
That's so good to know.
That's amazing.
Winning would be better.
We expect you to really do it.
Yeah, well, I made a good effort, but it's like a high school team playing a pro team. You get out there and you're doing your warm-ups and you think you got this and get rolled.
Okay. Did you do it, Kelly?
What I realized about it is that it's 100% the ticket to freedom, because, what I noticed is we all have habits that, we want to quit or something,
Yes.
or addictions or things like that. And the way that those get in place in the first place is from letting the left hand know, you're judging yourself. You're saying, oh, well, I'm having more chocolate cake than I should have. And,
Right.
I'm going to do it anyway. And then you judge yourself after, and then you start to identify with it because you let the left hand know what the right hand was doing instead of
Yes.
just living life.
Amen. Why you didn't do it?
I think that I'm just trifling.
Okay. Suffer.
I am.
I had to go to the store yesterday to pick up something, and I like these peanut butter cookies, but because I ate something sweet during the holidays, I said, you know what, I'm not going to even buy any cookies or anything for a while, so I don't eat them. So I go in the store to pick up this item. I look over and I see the peanut butter cookies, and the left hand said, don't they look good? And my mind was just filled with the way the cookies look, right? And I'm watching this. And they were like, well, you could just get them and take them home. You don't have to eat them. Now I already know that's a lie. And so I'm watching them. It's like this thing that's talking to me about, the left hand talking to me about the cookies. And so I didn't get them. I went to pay for my other item. And as soon as I walked out of the door of the store to get in my car, the whole thing disappeared. the thoughts of it, the talking to me about it, everything disappeared. And I realized, wow, that was a great temptation because it's right there. And now that the left hand know that I'm not in the presence of this, it just disappeared. Isn't that like amazing? That's mind-blowing to me. At least to me it is. Yeah, but that's how the left hand does you. Whatever your weakness is, it'll tempt you, it'll overwhelm you until you give into it. But if you don't give into it, when you walk away from it, it disappears and it comes up with something else. What I want to do, because of time here, James is going to tell us about this article that he sent me. Is that right? Yeah. And then I want to play a little short video from it and get your opinion of it. All right? And then I'll add some stuff to it, too, because I did read it. All right, hit it, James.
Okay, this is from the Washington Post. Black kids attend school on how to deal with police. Hanover, Maryland. The workshop title is simple, straightforward. Race and the Law. The problems it seeks to address are anything but. Captain Catherine Goodwin, Western District Commander of the Anne Arundel County Police Department, is the only white person in the room, part of the panel of experts leading the session. And she is the one who invites the question. Let's hear from this young man in the middle, Goodwin says. Hi, my name is Ezra, the boy says. I was wondering, can a police officer arrest another police officer? The room goes silent. A father multitasking his way through an email on an iPad stops scrolling and stares. It is a Saturday afternoon in early December, and room 104 at Anne Arundel Community College is packed. All 150 seats are taken. There are moms with oversized Louis Vuitton bags from which they produce items such as granola bars and string cheese. But there are more fathers than mothers and a few elementary school-aged kids. Most of all, there are teens with Beats headphones draped around their necks like electronic jewelry. Organized by the Arundel Bay Area chapter of Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, Race and the Law was one of more than 225 similar events held around the country last year, and more than 50 such events scheduled across the nation in the first 3 months of 2017. They are places where anxious black parents bring their children in hopes of preparing them for potentially fateful encounters with the police. They are, in essence, mini boot camps for children about how to be black in 21st century America.
So you get it? What's going on? So around the country, they're holding these meetings with black people, men and women and children, young and old, to teach them how to deal with the police. Race and the police. And last year they had 120-something meetings around the country. And I do want to tell you that you have churches that are involved in this, organizations, different groups from different universities around the country holding these meetings to tell black people, to show black people how to deal with cops, race and cops. All right? There's a little short video that I'm going to play for you. Can you bring it here?
10 rules.
10 rules.
10 rules.
10 rules of survival.
10 rules of survival if stopped by the police.
Number 1, be polite and respectful when stopped by the police.
Be polite.
Be respectful.
Remember that your goal is to get home safely.
Your goal is to get home safely.
Your goal is to get home safely. I'm sorry.
Number 2, if you feel your rights have been violated, you and your parents have a right to file a formal complaint with your local police jurisdiction.
Number 3, do not, under any circumstances, get in an argument with the police.
Number 4, always remember that anything you say or do can be used against you in court.
Number 5, keep your hands in plain sight.
Make sure the police can see your hands at all times.
Number 6, avoid physical contact with police officers. Do not make any sudden movements and keep your hands out of your pockets.
Number 7,
Do not.
Do not.
Do not, do not, do not, do not.
Do not run, even if you are afraid.
If you're afraid.
Number 8, Even if you believe you are innocent, do not resist arrest.
Number 9, if you are arrested, do not make any statements about the incident until you are able to meet with a lawyer or public defender.
Number 10, stay calm and remain in control.
Watch your words. Watch your body language.
Watch your emotions. Remember.
Remember, your goal is to get home safely.
Get home safely. Get home safely.
So you have the first response reaction to it. Say what now?
What is the difference between this and good home training? The golden rule. How do you treat authority? How to control yourself? Number 10 should have been number 1. Keep control. I've never had any issue. I've been stopped by the police plenty of times. I've never had a problem. I always, as soon as I get stopped, I put my hands on the steering wheel so they can see my hands.
Yeah.
And if they want me to get my driver's license, I let them know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to take my right hand over to my seat because my purse is down there. Do you mind if I do that? Sure, go ahead and do it. And I've had absolutely no issues with the police. But this is how you treat someone in an authority, regardless if you respect them or not, because they will respect you for respecting their authority.
So once you put your hand, before you put your hand on the steering wheel, where do you put your drugs?
My drugs?
No,
I'm not stupid enough to carry it.
Yes, Mark.
I think this video is exactly why we saw those 4 people upload to Facebook Live, torturing a special needs guy, thinking, we'll probably get a promotion for this. We'll probably get rewarded for this. That's exactly why 20 Dallas cops were executed in 2 weeks. That's exactly why you say we're heading towards a race war. Because there are people that want people to believe that American cops are shooting you because you have black skin. That's why they're shooting you. You need to put your hands up so they don't shoot you. Why do you, of course, teenage kids are going to believe it. And then that's what happens. And government expands and bodies hit the ground, but that's okay.
It's sad that the video has to educate, do not get in physical contact with the officer. That's something that's known already. By understanding what the police's position is, first of all, encounter with police should be the safest thing, unless you have something hiding. And the other one that was, do not run, even if you're afraid. They're making it seem like the police is some kind of a wild animal. If you stay still, you're safer. Don't give them your back; they'll attack you. And they're kind of demonizing the police, demonizing, and to say things like "do not make physical contact." That's given. This is not your neighbor. They're advising you, don't get in physical contact with him. He's dangerous or something.
Interesting.
Of course, yeah.
What do you think, Sheila?
Wow, I could go a couple different places here. I want to piggyback on what you just said. That's absolutely true. I've been stopped. I'm born and raised in Detroit. Never had any problems with the police. It all depends on your disposition and your attitude. However, the reason that this video is out there is because of what has happened recently. On one hand, I understand it. I'm not saying I agree with it. Mm-hmm. But I understand it. And the problem is when you don't have fathers in the home to create that authority, you have to have classes like this because you have mothers who don't know what to do. So they're saying, I fear for my son's life. I fear for my children's life. Let me get them in a program to show them what they're supposed to do. If you live the way you're supposed to live, you don't have to show children what to do. It's automatic.
Why is it that the mothers don't know what to do?
Because they're doing everything themselves. They can't be mommy and daddy. They already themselves are at a deficit. So once you understand it, then it brings to light why something like this has to be produced or shown. Again, I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
I see you bowing your head to it. What was your impression? What do you think about the video?
At the beginning, I kind of felt a little bit what he was saying. It seems like, they were demonizing the police officers. But sadly, you know, I think it can be productive. I mean, it's unfortunate that you got to get them young, though. You got to have this speech with them young, not when they're old and rebellious. And you know, it's unfortunate that you got to do that. And then, for the record, I just want to little bound. There is bad apples in the police department. There is. I was stopped by an officer who was totally out of line. Okay, he was totally out of line.
What did you do?
I was 19, and I think it was 18, and I was learning how to drive a stick shift car. And I had my friend on the shotgun seat, and then I seen a cop coming. And for whatever reason, I didn't have a license. I was 18 or 19, and I didn't have a license. I was learning on a stick shift car, and I said, "Okay, I got out." Anyways, when he pulled me out, he was very confrontational. He was rude. He tried to intimidate me. He gets really close up to me like this, and he puts his chest on me, and he starts walking around in a circle. I was aware of these principles even back then at 19, so I was just like remain still, and I knew there was something wrong with him. He was just not right. But just to say that, just to add that there is bad apples out there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunately, you know, it's a good thing. I think it's good if you catch a murderer.
It's a good thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Marilyn, what do you think?
If a teenager is watching it, they don't know any better. They're going to think right away, okay, cops are bad, because that's what they're going to get out of it. Like, okay, if I get pulled over, you know, I'm already going to be afraid because they're watching this video.
Yeah.
There's like nothing positive, really. For me, I don't see anything positive out of it.
If I were a person working in one of these unreasonable countries like in the Middle East, that's how I would treat one of their policemen. These are not people that I would feel would be representing what I consider to be the right way of doing business or the law. And these are all the same things I would do to make sure that I wasn't going to get slammed in some Iranian jail or something. Mm. It's very similar, or the old concept of during the Cold War, if you were driving and a Russian cop stopped you, this is how you'd handle a Russian cop, who you could barely understand. I couldn't. So, and the notion you have of the police in those countries being unreasonable or being military police seems to be backed up in this particular video. The insidious thing about the video is how it starts saying, remember, your objective is to get home safely. I have never felt unsafe around a policeman. The notion that the policeman is an unsafe place, you got to get home safe, get away from the police. So that's the very insidious way it wraps itself into your mind, because it positions the police as an unsafe place to be, when in fact what they should be is people who provide the safety. Now, not being black and not having been stopped for being black, and the famous driving while black thing that you hear, those things don't happen to me.
Yeah. Have you ever been stopped while driving white?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And by the way, when I get stopped and I'm doing something wrong, I'm doing something wrong, and I will admit that right away. But what this other dude said, I don't know about that one. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't have a license. Well, okay. But so my point is that it makes it sound like you
say that.
Say what?
That he was doing anything wrong. I didn't have a license.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He didn't have a license.
And he's driving without a license?
I didn't imply that.
No, he was in training.
All right. Okay. So anyway, when I'm doing something,
the white man always trying to make us look bad.
Yeah, that's right.
People of color, huh?
I'm being judgmental. So anyway, that was
white man took what you said and twisted it.
Just twisting the words around.
Right. White people.
Shame on me. So anyway, it makes it sound very reasonable. Don't do this, don't do that. It makes you say, well, this is all good advice. But the reason they give you the advice is wrong, and that's what I don't like about it. The premise is the cop is not safe. Yeah. These are 10 decent behaviors. I think Chris Rock has a video on YouTube that talks almost the same thing, right? And you know, we've all seen that, right? But so that's what I don't like about it. It's a very insidious, very brilliant piece of propaganda.
I agree with what Ed just said. It's good advice, but it's totally warped by the spirit behind it. It's just totally making the police look bad, and I think it's working for the bad.
And when you say it's good advice, when
you get stopped, you know, don't be crazy, be calm. You know, I mean, basically, it was good advice. You should stay calm and. Yeah, I mean, I think actually a lot of people do need that advice in the black community, like young kids, like we're saying, the fatherless ones.
I looked for that in the beginning to see if the video was portraying cops in a demonized way, and I didn't see that. I really didn't. It just so happens that that young black men and Hispanics, or some whites, can get themselves in an altercation because of their overreaction. So they're really pointing out it's your overreaction. Don't be calm. They're telling them to be calm. They're not necessarily. You could read into that. I think that it is a propaganda piece. But I didn't see that. I really looked out for that. I didn't. If they seen it, maybe I didn't see it. But I.
Yeah, I wanted to get feedback. That's why I haven't said anything, because I wanted honest feedback from it. Because I could be wrong in what I'm about to say about it. I could be absolutely wrong. Yes, Raymond, and then here and there.
I concur with almost with what Ed said about the spirit this video was made, because they were trying to do the right thing with the wrong attitude, or where I say spirit, by seeing the cops as a danger rather as a help. As a help, it's the spirit behind it. Besides, all this advice is nothing but common knowledge that should have been told in the household. And if we're that broken,
should they have made this video? Yes or no?
I don't believe so. This is common. What they say is common knowledge in the household.
Okay. Yes.
I agree with that. This was brilliantly made propaganda. They started out saying, "Be respectful." Who's gonna disagree with that? Do be good. The piano comes in, the violin, and then it's like, put your hands up. What? How did we get there from the violin? We missed a part, and that part is the premise that Ed disagrees with, and that's that American cops are shooting black people for being black. Yeah. So if you believe that, then listen to that nonsense. Play pianos. Do that. Divide this country, because you cannot conquer a moral people. You have to make them immoral first.
Yeah. You're visiting from Europe, right?
Moscow.
Moscow, really?
Moscow.
Say hello to Putin for me.
Okay.
Tell him we love him.
Okay.
What do you think about the video?
I met a few cops on duty. all of us were very good. It was a very good experience. They're very, very, very nice guys and girls.
When I saw this video, when I read it, I was stunned at evil. This is an evil, evil video. And it was unbelievable that you have adults who are parents at this thing, men and women, and they allow their children to be brainwashed like that about the police. And I'm thinking, wow, this is absolute evil. In there it said that one father was on his computer, and when a young boy asked can one cop arrest another one, something like that, that was a big deal question. Like the room stopped. I mean, kids would ask that. Can a cop arrest another cop? It's just a kid question. And it took forever for the woman to answer the question. The question is, yes, if they break the law, we arrest anybody. No big deal. But for the black parents and black professionals to brainwash the kids, black kids, about cops like this, it tells me that this race war is never going to end. Because now these kids are going to grow up believing that police officers hate black people, and when they stop you, you should be afraid for your life. How do you do that to little kids? This is not real, what we've been told about the police officers. The policemen don't hate black people. They're not running around town trying to figure out the next black person that they're going to hurt. It's just mind-blowing that this kind of evil, and then to find out that these meetings are happening around the country, 120-something last year, and for the first 2 months of this year, they already have 50 meetings set up. What has happened to the black soul that it can fall for a lie like this? And then you pass it on to the next generation. When will black people ever be free? And then for the parents to do this, they have to believe that this is happening. This is not real. And many of you said this should be taught in the home. This should be taught in the homes by example. I grew up at a time when they had the Jim Crow law and all that stuff going on. My parents didn't have to tell us, make sure you respect the cop. Make sure you want to get home safe and all that. My grandmother said, if you go to jail, don't call me. She's like, I'm not coming to visit. I'm not, and I'm not putting any money on your books. That was enough for me. Plus, we respect authority. You know, if you respect your father and mother, you're going to respect authority. You got common sense. These people act as though black people don't have common sense anymore. This stuff is just common sense. But generation and generation of blacks have been told that the cops hate you because you're black. And they keep feeding into this. Can you imagine that the churches, there are some churches and other organizations who are involved in this kind of brainwashing for black youth? And believe me, these kids are so angry because the anger starts in the home first. Even though they're training them this way, they're still going to go out and overreact to cops. Because in anger, you can't help but overreact. Even though they've told you not to overreact. As soon as you get out there and a white cop stops you, the left hand is going to say, go for it. Go for it. They're stopping you because you're black. And by the time the cop get up to the door, it's over. It's over. And so I'm thinking they are treating these blacks in these meetings like animals. Like trained animals. You can't train a person to be a moral person. You can't train someone to do the right thing. That's in us to do. It comes naturally when you grow up with good parents. This was shocking to me. And then to think that there are grown adult men sitting in these meetings allowing this to happen. It just is wicked. It's absolutely wicked. I don't think people love black folk. I think everybody hates black people now. I do. I think all races hate black. Because why would they let this happen? And this is a result of fathers not being fathers to their wife. I mean, husbands to their wives and fathers to their children. This is because men are weak and they are not setting that Christ example in the homes. That's what this is all about. Because if men love God with all their heart, soul, and might, and would love their wives and their children, this wouldn't even be thought of. This would be insanity if someone brought it up. I don't know what's going to happen. This ain't never going to end. Until we restore men, we bring life back into the family, we bring love back into the family, then things will change. No one should be in support of this. And they act like we were living in, remember in South Africa, didn't they have something called apartheid or something? And the blacks had to worry about getting home. We don't have to worry about getting home unless you live in the hood. Then you have to worry. And that's not from the cops. This is evil. I don't want this to happen to black people. I want this thing to end, and I want blacks to go back to being a noble people the way they were prior to the civil rights movement. Blacks wasn't like this, but that's because they have responsibility for their own family. They didn't have black leaders. They didn't have the crappy preachers telling you that somebody hates you. James, you have something for me on there?
A fact about the driving while black myth that John Lott wrote in the New York Post about debunking the Ferguson report, where they were saying the police are racist, that nationwide blacks are about twice as likely to die in car accidents as their share of car owners.
As in what?
As their share of car owners.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just, it's a recklessness in their driving nationwide.
Why is it that people don't know this is a moral issue? It really has nothing to do with your color. How come we have forgotten about this? Have you noticed? It's about family, folks. It's not about the police. It's about the family. It's not about your skin color. It's about family. Fathers and mothers doing the right thing with their children. This is not a good thing with this video. It is not. And there's some stupid woman over, when she was saying something about get home safe, she started crying like she really believed it. Had I been there, like, lady, sit down. This is not real. Your left hand is lying to you. This is amazing. Yes, G.
So I didn't have my dad there to tell me how to, behave with the cop.
Right.
But still, growing up in Brazil, I'd see if you go steal something from the grocery store or you're smoking weed, the cops will really beat you up. They'll take you to the back and beat you up. And since underage kids, they can't go to jail, they'll take you to your house in the cop car, and then you get another whooping.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
just watching that, I'm like, I don't want to get beat up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Twice. So
I don't blame you, G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but it's weird because over here, I used to hang out in the hood with a lot of black people, and when we get pulled over, it seemed like, they're like, no, I know my rights, and they used to be wilding out, and I just do whatever the cops say,
Yeah.
Even if I was in the wrong, I just tell them, hey, to be honest, I'm doing this and that, just take me.
Whenever the cop, which doesn't happen often at all now, whenever they stop me, I'm like, Lord, what do they want? What have I done now? Put my hand on the thing, find out what they want, and go my way. This is not good for black Americans. It's not good for America to be training these young people in that manner. And they're too young to really understand the spirit aspect of what's happening behind all this. This is not good, folks. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Selling the soul. My first impression was they're treating these people like they're training them the way you train an animal. This is common knowledge. This is common sense. But they're training them the way you train an animal to act when you say certain words to the animal.
I don't remember what you said right now. You said something negative, don't like black people, something like that. I think that's incorrect.
Most cultures don't like black people.
I think that's incorrect. I think in the United States, most people love black people, but
they're
they're
afraid
petrified of being called racist.
Say what?
They're petrified of being called racist if they say the word black, African, anything. So they just rather not say a word and just stay in their safe space. But almost everyone I know loves, you hear all day, Chris Rock, this athlete, this actor, this all the time.
The point I'm making is that I think most cultures now are kind of fed up with black people. They're sick of the anger. They're sick of them accusing them of being racist.
That's what I think it is. I think that
that's
they
what I mean by that.
specifically
I don't mean
love.
they just hate them. I just mean they're fed up. Someone accuse you of being something you're not. It's like being married, and then the husband or the wife is always accusing the other one. After a while, you say, I want a divorce. I'm going to go cheat on you. I can't prove my innocence, so I might as well do it. Anybody ever done that? Yeah, everybody have, huh? The honest people here. You just get, what? I might as well cheat. You're going to accuse me anyway. This is not a good video. It's about family. The focus needs to be on rebuilding the family. Men and women returning to God, getting married, raising their children. Real fast over here, last question or comment.
It almost looked like a comedic video. It was like Saturday Night Live skit or something when they went through the 10 steps and just get home safe. I thought it was a comedy. It didn't even seem real to me. But what's interesting is it's a demonstration about really education and where education's come, because now with the American universities, what you're seeing is this teaching people how to do things that they should already know. And now they're reprogramming people.
Yeah.
And these kids, and the violence starts on the inside. And so what they're saying to us is that we have to teach you how to be not violent. And the minute you see that, you know you're in a world of pain in terms of how you're going to handle individuals. Because if you have to teach them to put their hands on the steering wheel and to be nice as young kids, that's really what's going to happen. Is they're actually going to rebel against that, and they're actually going to be more crazy now because you're telling them to do something, conform to something that they actually shouldn't have to do to begin with.
They're not going to be able to do it anyway. The violence starts on the outside first, not the inside. These kids, when they're born, they don't have this kind of violence in their hearts. But when they're born into crazy, messed up families, either the father's not there or the mother's angry and passing it on, that's what changed them. And that's why we need to start dealing with the family. These kids have no love. They need love. Even those 4 blacks who attacked the mentally disabled person, you can see that they are void of love. They have never had it from their family. They're just angry. And one thing leads to another, one. This video is not good for the next generation. The fact that these adults and these don't get any more degrees, all right? Let's go back to the good old days where you just learn a trade. Because the folks who are in this high learning thing, they're as crazy as they want to be. How can you say you have a master's degree and you take human beings and you teach them this kind of stuff? And these people have to know that they're teaching the wrong thing. They have to know that. And they're doing it to black folks. It was majority black people. When will black people say, I don't want any more of this? Teach it to yourself. Don't teach it to us. Everybody is using the black folks. Every negative organization in America, whenever they want to promote their agenda, hateful agenda, immoral, whatever it might be, they go to the blacks first. We saw it with the National Organization of Women Who Hate Men. We saw it with the radical homosexuals. We saw it with the abortion folks, Planned Parenthood. Whenever they want to kill an unborn child, well, you are stopping us from doing it. This is for poor women, meaning black women. We've seen it with the race hustlers, like Jesse Jackson and others. We have seen it with the liberal media. Whenever they want to promote something, and these people who are training these kids in this, they have a wicked agenda. They're not trying to teach blacks the right thing. They are brainwashing them, as Ed was saying, they're brainwashing them for another purpose. That's what's going on. And these black men and women are just taking their kids over there. One father had 3 of his kids there, I believe, 2 or 3, and they were girls, right? I'm like, what kind of man is this? His children need to be taken away from him. He's going to take them and let them be brainwashed. He's a poor excuse of a father. He has no love for his children. Human beings are like, well, a human being is like a fisherman, for an example. And the fisherman goes out and he throws his net out into the water, right? And he brings in all these fish, a whole bunch of them. But a lot of them are small fish, right? And so what he does is he take the small ones and throw them back. And he keep the one big one, the one big fish. And it's that big fish that he deals with, right? And so human beings are like that. What they do is they gather all this information in their minds. They gather the scriptures, they go to college and get brainwashed, gather all this information. And when they gather this information, instead of throwing back all of the junk and just holding on to the good, the big one, which is self, they keep all this information, all this nonsense stuff that has nothing to do with life, and they don't get to know themselves. The big fish is knowledge of self. So they keep all this knowledge, and this knowledge distract them from knowing thyself. And so the big fish, the left hand is all this knowledge that it uses against you to keep you from knowing yourself. God said the kingdom of heaven is within, and it's within there that you should go in and know thyself. And if you really, really want to know God, you need to go within. You need to focus on self. Go within. Life is about being. Self-knowledge is about being. You get up in the morning, you have your prayer, and you go your way. Don't go with the left hand, because everything you learn, you're telling the left hand, which is the deceiver, and it take all this knowledge and use it against you. Oh, they don't like you because of this. They don't like you because you're black, or they'll judge you, all kind of stuff. Whatever tell you, but if you didn't hold on to that knowledge, the evil one could not use anything against you. You need to plan today. You need to do this. It is just destroying you. You need to let all that go, everything you've learned, everything you've been taught, let it go and just focus on self. Knowledge of being, that's what you want. God said we should become like little children. Little kids rely on nothing. They trust the Father. Unless the Father's at that meeting, on that video. But they trust the Father. And so God is our Father, and we should trust Him. But when you go on with the left hand, all this stuff going on in your head, you cannot trust the Father. And you don't know yourself. That's why we end up in so many crazy situations. Crazy situations because we're listening to this and trying to feed our emotions. It's the worst thing that can happen to you. Know thyself. The self is the right hand. And don't let the left hand know what you're doing. Meaning don't communicate with it at all. Everything that your mind tells you, don't respond. Do not respond. One guy said on Thursday that he was going to respond to someone with an email or something, and just before he did it, he said to himself, "I know this is wrong," and then he did it, right? And I'm like, you shouldn't have even said that. If you're going to do it, just do it, but don't have a conversation with the left hand about it, because you give it control over your life. Life is so amazing, folks, when you get to know yourself. Keep your eyes on yourself from within, and everything starts to change. What happens is you start to forget about all this stuff, this mess that you've learned, and you become aware of wisdom, of true knowledge, the true intellect, our Father's intellect. You become aware of that, and it's amazing. And then the left hand going to tell you, oh, it's not going to work. You got to do something. Pay that no mind. God wants you to return to the Father, be still, and know Him, and He'll work it all out. And He's within us. But you got to forgive. You must drop your anger. No one is going to enter into this kingdom until they forgive first. Before you enter into the kingdom of heaven, you must forgive. And it's your parents first that you need to forgive. And most of the time, it's the mother. Because the father's out working or out cheating on the mother. He don't have time. But I'm telling you, you got to become aware of God within. He's nothing like what you've learned. He's nothing like what you've been told. He is your Father. And then whatever it is that you're addicted to, it'll start to fade away. It will disappear. But you got to overcome the anger first. Because the anger is of your father, the devil, which is the left hand. That's his nature. And there is no love in it at all. And it blinds you. It definitely does. All right? So that's what, is that clear? Did that make sense what the left hand is and the right? It's clear? Okay, good. It's so simple. Life is so simple and so amazing. It's mind-blowing. The less you do, the closer you come to the Father and the better off you are. The more you put into it, the further away you get, and life become hell. What's happening, you know? And here's this girlfriend, it's the nurse. Somebody has hired this woman to take care of this elderly lady, and this is what they're doing to her.
That really wrenches at my heart
Yeah.
because I came to California to take care of my uncle who had Parkinson's. And what people don't know about Parkinson's is if you have it for a long period of time, your brain goes too. And he was at that point. We had people in the house with him. He had stuff stolen. We had phone calls to the 976 numbers. For those who don't know, those were the sexy phone call numbers. So these fools were coming in, making these phone calls, and then we find out we have a $500-700 bill on the phone.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, something like that, that woman doesn't know what she's doing by any means. And this is happening. It wrenches at my heart to hear that.
Yeah. This guy and the girl are so crazy, they even showed the woman. They like show her face and everything. What's the theme for this year?
Don't let the right hand know what the left, or excuse me, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing.
Have you been doing that?
I've been trying, yeah.
Is it working?
It seems to be.
In what way?
Just keeping my mind off of negative things and trying to focus on the moment.
It's so amazing not to let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Did you do it, G?
I practice it, but it was like, it seemed like it feels so good to tell, like, the left hand want to know about your life. You know what I'm saying? The left hand like, tell me. I'm like, all right, I'll tell you just this one time. But I practice it.
Right. It's so amazing that the left hand called the police. And when the girl found out that they had called the police, she went downstairs and kicked the door in and robbed or beat up the neighbor or something. But the cops came. She kicked the door in. I don't know if she robbed. And so while this was happening, the guy managed to get out of the apartment, and the cops saw him walking down the road just in shorts. And so they were able to arrest all 4 of the people. And it's bad. And when you see the black folks who did it, you can see that they're just filled with anger. They have no love in their heart. Their souls are dead, and the hatred in their hearts is overwhelming. It's an awful story. The interesting thing about it, the black police commissioner of Chicago held a press conference, and in the beginning, he did not want to call it a hate crime. He was calling everything but a hate crime. But due to the outcry that came from the public, he had to call it a hate crime because it really was a hateful crime. It was hateful. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You know, I've been saying for 26 years that if we don't deal with this anger in the hearts of black Americans and the way that they're out there attacking white folks and getting away with it and so on, things can only get worse. And it will get worse. I hope that I'm wrong, but it's going to get worse. Did you see it, Mark? Yes. What was your opinion about it? What did you think about it?
I think the big story is the huge downplay by the media. No. They're just kids. They're the victims. They're the victims, the ones that tortured and kidnapped and scalped this guy.
Right.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
That is what's going to hurt people. That's what's going to yield more bodies in more situations like this.
That's right. And all crime is there such thing as love crime? I wonder why they named it hate crime. All crime is hateful. It's due to hate.
Yeah, I mean, how many? There's obviously certain designated victim groups that can do certain crimes, and they will never be charged with a hate crime. CNN will say all day long why it's impossible for them not to do a hate crime.
Right.
And as soon as a person of this skin color does something, it's automatically a hate crime.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to prosecute people based on what we think is in their head.
Yeah. You saw the video?
Yes, I saw the video. I absolutely
What
thought
was
it
your
was.
impression of it?
It was despicable.
Yeah.
It was just. It's horrible. This is not just a hate crime. This is the sickness called Chicago. This has been happening for all of Obama's term. I mean, Chicago is murder capital of the United States right now.
Yeah.
And no one's doing anything about it or anything that way. I think this is also a lending to having stuff like this happen. And I know one of the other young ladies, that the 24-year-old, also had a rap sheet.
I think both of them did.
Right.
Yeah.
I found this, it's not new to have to film people beating up mentally disabled. I'm not saying it's correct, but this is
Right.
not a new instance.
Yeah.
However, I think the severity of this, and I think if they weren't caught or what have, this would have continued and this person would have died
Yeah.
if they had not been caught.
The thing that I find interesting about it is that these people are so crazy. They videotape this stuff and they put it on the internet. They have lost all common sense. It's mind-blowing. Someone sent me a video this morning, and at first I didn't think it was real. I thought it was a setup. And so I had James to look at it. He said, yes, it is real. This video is mind-blowing to me. It's amazing how our battle is a battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. This video that I just saw this morning is a black young male driving a car, and he has an elderly white woman sitting in the passenger seat next to him. The girlfriend is in the back. And the elderly woman, according to this guy, has Alzheimer's disease. He made her put his hand on his private part. And he's videotaping that, saying, look at her, she loved this. She loved it. She has Alzheimer's disease, but she's loving this. Isn't that something? And he said, this is my girlfriend. My girlfriend is a nurse, and apparently she's sitting in the back. You do see someone in the back. My girlfriend is a nurse, and this is her patient. And we're taking her back home. And when we get to her house, I'm going to do some more things with her. He says what he's going to do. I just don't want to mention it. And he got this on video and put it on the internet. And someone sent it to me, and I noticed they sent it to the police, the FBI, and everybody else. But it's like, how do you... I'm going to present this to you, and then I want your feedback. I'm not going to show any expression, so you don't get any idea how I feel about it. For now. I'll show you later. But first, did you hear about the 4 blacks who attacked the young white teenager? He was mentally disabled. Did you guys hear about that?
Yes.
Who did not hear about it? Really? Well, what happened was, for those who don't know, in Chicago, 2 black girls and 2 black men, young men, picked up this mentally disabled white guy and took him to an apartment building. Matter of fact, they went to his house and picked him up because he knew according to the story, he knew one of the people. And so they took him to an apartment, and they tied him down, put tape on his mouth, and beat him and cut his hair. They scalped him, and they were saying, F Donald Trump, F white people, and they really tortured this guy. Really bad. It was really heartbreaking to see it. The neighbor downstairs heard all this noise happening, and so he or she, I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman,